Okay, and here we go, another 5 minutes of Tefillah B'siyata D'Shemaya. We're in the middle of discussing this incredible Tefillah of Menashe, this Tefillah of Kriya, of calling out with the understanding that Hashem has different names. And when you access that name of Hashem, that attribute of God responds. And these are deep and lofty concepts that we began yesterday. And Rav Shimshon Pincus actually makes mention of such. And he says that these are concepts that are really well beyond our grasp. And these are ideas that are really for Hasidim and Sadiqim, that they're able to dive in with specific kavanah for a certain Shem Hashem, and that Shem Hashem thereby brings about the intended result. We could slightly understand how now we could realize how a gadol perhaps could give a bracha for children, for parnasa, for health, and it could be mekuyam as they have this ability to tap into these soidais of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, these nistarais, these hidden entities of Kabbalah, which are the different shemais, different kavanais of Hashem, dive into that kavanah, to that shame, and thereby get what the necessity is at that moment. But what does this mean to each and every one of us? This is like so beyond, and it seems almost like the past little bit we've sort of taken a journey into a world of tefillah, which doesn't really talk to us, but as always, Rav Shimshon brings this right back to home. And now he's going to teach us how what we just learned, as esoteric and as deep and as lofty as it sounds, really is going to give each and every one of us the ability to tap into something that he coins the shleimus shel tefillah, the shleimus, the completeness, the perfection of tefillah. And he says that there's a medrash that he's quoted already, and that's a medrash that says tefillah l'Moshe, tefillah la'ani, and the medrash equates the tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu to the tefillah of an ani, of a poor person, a medrash, that he's already made mention of. But now he explains it in a slightly different way. And he says, when Moshe Rabbeinu was davening, Hashem called out to the malachim, and Hashem told the malachim, go and close the windows to heaven, because we don't want the tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu to ascend. And he explains that the tefillah of Moshe was daimel l'cherev. It was like a sword, which is kaireya and chaytech. It cuts right through everything. And the reason is because Moshe Rabbeinu was davening with this type of tefillah, vayikra, Hashem, Hashem. He was davening is what he calls with the me'ein v'shem ha'mefayrash. This is what we know the Kohen Gadol in Yom Kippur would make mention of the Shem ha'mefayrash, and the Medrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu learned this from, I don't know if you're allowed to say these different Zayin Gimel, Aleph Lam is a Gagzel, which is the name of a Malach of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that Moshe Rabbeinu is the Sefer of the Bnei Maraim, that he taught Moshe Rabbeinu the Shem Hashem. Whatever this means, we don't really understand. And that's how Moshe Rabbeinu davened. So explains Rav Shimshon Pincus. So how is the tefillah of an ani just like the tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu? I don't understand. Moshe Rabbeinu is davening with this recognition of the Shem Hashem, with the understanding, the different kavanos, the different channels up into heaven. How in the world is the ani davening that way? And that's really the question we're asking ourselves, is how are we davening that way? How are we tapping into this tefillah, which is this incredible entity of the different attributes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And says the Shimshon Pincus the following, those who do not know all the incredible names of Hashem like us, and the deep understandings of each and every Shem. But what do we understand? And this is the punchline. Mevin Inyan Hashem. We understand that there's an entity called God. Umitztayer, believe boy, and we can paint in our heart, heroes with clarity, that Hashem has different names, and Hashem has an entity called Rachamim that has no boundaries. And when I dive in with that understanding, that tefillah is the same level as Moshe Rabbeinu. I don't know the different Shemais. I don't know the different Kavanais. I don't know the Shem Hashem. And I don't know the different channel ways. But you know what I do know? I know that there is such a concept I know there is a HaKadosh Baruch Hu that is this entity with such rachamim. That simplistic understanding allows my meager ani tefillah to be on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu's tefillah of the Shema Mefayrish. That only thing that could stop it is if the angels would shut those windows. Why? Because we're davening with the clear, perfect recognition that Hashem has such an incredible ability.